I don't know Uganda, but this one hurt me a lot. When I was moving around and I saw people pointing at me, calling me Owechitiwa, I thought it was something nice. Later I was told it means you're a thief. I am not. I'm not. As political leaders of Parliament, the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the 4 commissioners of Parliament, first, before we go outside, there are questions that have been asked by virtue of the political offices that we hold. Ugandans want those answers. That is why people were marching to come and get the answers from Parliament, because we, the representatives, cannot give them the answers they want. We are being accused as Parliament that we are corrupt. I'm an MP, I am not corrupt. Can we take an initiative to explain to the people of Uganda the questions they ask of us even before they take the drastic step of coming to the streets? Because the situation that happened today, most of you, the inconvenience that I had to pass through as a member of Parliament to come to do my constitutional duty in office was too much. And we were being harassed. Even some of us who left our IDs, the Parliament IDs, it took time for us to be verified to come here. I don't want to go through that every day when I come to work here. So I ask you, Mr. Speaker, that when you retreat to your chambers, think through, and all the leaders, and provide answers. If you have been accused of A, please try to provide an answer. We don't want Ugandans to come. They are already saying if they cannot access us here in this Parliament, they will go to our homes. I cannot take that for granted. Me, I don't have a police officer. I don't have security. Many of you have security, combat what I don't have. I move as I am here. And my home, nobody has visited. I don't want to be accused of being part of the loot, part of the corruption. Each and every person accused should answer in line with the provision of this constitution. There's no business for MPs to come and sit here. The Speaker, you can exercise that and say on issue A, I have replaced Parliament and this is my decision. So the procedural matter that I want you, Madam Speaker, to reflect on and guide this House, so that the members of Parliament, including myself, I can come and I know I am coming to Parliament to represent the people of Erute South, and that privilege cannot be impeached. Whether the Speaker likes or not, cannot be impeached. In relation to that, I will receive information later, Madam Speaker, is that there are so many decisions on motions, private members' bills, statements that have not seen the light of this House, and yet it should properly first be received and the decision made from this House. There are bills, there are statements, and so many others provided in the rules of procedure. Wouldn't it be now right for you to guide that either we disregard the set rules and we replace it with, I don't know, personal statements that you will be issuing every day, Madam Speaker, before the sitting, and say in today's sitting, these are the rules that I have set as the Speaker of Parliament. Wouldn't it proceed right to have that into that plan for the next 5 years? Outside the Committee of Budget, I wanted to beg your indulgence that the sectoral committees are invited to look into this plan. I'll give one example of how important it is. On the 22nd of November, the President launched a very ambitious project, a very important project in my opinion, called the Standard Gauge Railway, which each and every Ugandan from Karamoja, from whatever region, is going to finance and contribute. But when you look at the plan of that railway line, other Ugandans are not involved. It is not passing through the entire country, but it is a project that may be done once. I don't know which other government will come and do it. So I want to invite your attention, Mr. Speaker, that within these 2 weeks, let the sectoral committees for each sector look at the components of the National Development Plan and make recommendations so that every part of this country is seen into this. I have previously argued here, you remember, Mr. Speaker, when the government came and said that some money was being allocated to a particular region under what they call the tourism roads. Then another section of roads were given as security roads. Then I was asking, what about the other parts of the country? Which roads will go to them? If we have started saying these ones are for tourists, these are for security, yet everybody is paying the loan to make those roads, oil roads, for example. How about the coffee roads now? How about the cotton roads? How about the milk roads and the rest? So we can only interrogate that, Mr. Speaker, when we look at this National Development Plan at once. That was made on this floor by the Ministry of Justice, represented by the Attorney General, on the prisoners, on detention. And it was your order, Madam Speaker,
to put it on the order paper.
Yes, that the Attorney General, who had requested for, in fact, he said the next sitting he would be available to provide that list here. And up to today, we still have those long list of people who are incarcerated, the different categories, and the Attorney General is not moving this Parliament in that right direction. Relatedly also, Madam Speaker, this House was receiving briefings every week on the progress by the executive on implementation of the orders of the Supreme Court. It was an agreement here that would be updated on the steps that they were taking, and would be happy to receive from the Attorney General the latest. Given that we are reading so much, I'm sure you have learned, I have learned too, that one of the principal prisoners, Dr. Besigye, is indisposed. An explanation has been made that he is actually on a hunger strike. And that does not speak well, because this House made pronouncement in regard to that matter, and several others who are in Karamoja, in Lira, different prisons. So would the Attorney General honor that commitment that he made to this House, that he would bring the complete list and then the status of each and every person who is detained and the steps that they are taking to ensure that they access justice, Madam Speaker?
And on the role,
Mr. Speaker, my training and the knowledge of how governments run is that I thought government is a very serious institution, like absolutely serious. That whenever I interact with government and I hear from them, I actually take them very seriously. But I must say that my experience here has taught me another lesson. And I can say that I can competently, I think that this side we can now run the government. Mr. Speaker, when the government, the minister proposed the RAFEX bills here, one of the things we are convinced is that when you pass this law, allow us a window, do not put the commencement date, because we need to go and prepare as and when we are ready. Then we shall issue the instrument operationalizing the law. And now we are hearing government in a very casual and unserious manner tell us that we got lost along the way. And then we found ourselves in the transition. These are things within your control. If you are not ready, let them continue. No one from our side had said UNRWA must stop today and transit. No one said that. So if you are not ready, my proposal, because I've also received communication, it makes me reflect back how some of our parents, and I hope many of your parents, when the retrenchment policy took place, many of our parents suffered, as if it was a deliberate ploy that time to patch some people out of holding some offices. Now, you remove people who are in UNRWA, advertise their jobs, and then refuse even to shortlist them. Then you see other people who do not have even experience are the ones being.
Jonathan, please.
I humbly take, the Women's Day has just happened. Let me allow a woman to give information.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. We came in the House to settle issues. They walked out. How can you expect those things to come? Now you're crying. If you had not walked out, everything was going to be smooth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. For the record,
order, honorable colleagues, order.
For the record, Honorable Christine Akelo is my counterpart from Erute North. I don't want to spoil her mood of celebrating the Women's Day. The point I am making, Mr. Speaker, is that the government can review. No one is pushing you to implement this law as it is. If you are not ready, please, you hold on. But the number of people who are complaining, if we give them time, who have been unfairly left out of this whatever transition, is alarming. That you had assured us here that you transit some of those staff into the mainstream, and now they see their names are missing. Mr. Speaker, if it pleases you, a select committee or a committee of this House should re-examine all these matters together and report. Otherwise, we are headed for a disaster. And every week, we shall be entertaining the same matters here. So that the government, we can interact and find a middle ground that facilitates both the government to do its work, but also ensures that the people we represent are happy about this service. I beg to submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Jonathan.
Size of Parliament generally, and I would invite that government holistically looks at this matter. While dealing with this special interest group, I think the concern about the increasing numbers of members of Parliament vis-a-vis the burden on the taxpayers is a big concern. Having said that, I would have loved, because in this motion, the Constitution ties our hands. We can only retain, increase, or abolish. The moment government chose to come by way of motion, it means now we cannot abolish any of this. If we are abolishing, we'll need a bill like Honorable Sarah proposed so that we can do away with others. But I think we have opportunity to look at the composition. For example, the 10 UPDF, they said at least 2. I thought government would be considered it enough to move towards the 1/3 requirement and say, now in this review, maybe we'll have more of those. In fact, by way of evidence, the uniform officers, the ladies, have been more useful in this parliament. They actually attend more than the gentlemen.
I can say now General Charity is your friend. Is it because of the security you promised?
Yes, but if you go to workers, I think the law says 1. At least there should have been some consideration whether we move to 2 so that we can have this gender balance. I want to comment on the one of workers. It has been a long time. The rest, apart from UPDF, persons with disabilities, older persons, they are regionalized. But when it comes to workers, we don't see workers representing the northern part of the country. That's part of the review process that I thought should have been taken into consideration, coming here to ensure that since the youth, we have them at regional level, and the rest, the workers also, the people of the north, the workers who are in the north, would be given an opportunity to deal with that. On the bigger question whether we, in the past, some of the special interest groups were denied, I think yes, maybe to some extent, but with increasing level of education and exposure and the changes in our demographics, it is important that a comprehensive study is done in this aspect. If the youth are now the majority of the population, and we also look at this parliament, we analyze vis-a-vis how many young people are able to make it on their own. The same with also the ladies. And also track the progress. Those who are given special affirmative action, do they actually move further in their politics? Because for an affirmative action for a woman to remain, 20, 30 years and etc., I think defeats the very purpose of ushering the ladies into the political arena. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In that pursuit, the hotel was vandalized, and so many properties of the hotels were broken, the windows, even TVs. So I want the government to address their minds to the damage they have caused to a businessman who, in pursuit of business, hosted the presidential candidate. What would the position of government be in regard to the damages caused to the property? At least the owner of the hotel deserves an explanation. And we also want the name of Lira as a city not to be painted as a city that, is not welcoming, but also the businessmen to feel free to make money out of this process of elections. We still have about 6 other candidates who are coming to Lira and want them to become comfortable to be able to ask. So would government address us on the issue, specifically, why would the police go and force and break and vandalize the hotel, and yet they have other options of containing? If the suspect was within, they could even deploy and wait in the morning to be able to apprehend the suspect.
Honourable Minister for Internal Affairs.
Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first I rise to react to your communication. And I'm going to pick on the item which you have communicated about an active investigation into the ban on nation media group from covering Parliament. Whereas I welcome that investigation, Mr. Speaker, I think the nature of investigation and by who and what offense needs to come out clearly, so that if it is from within Parliament, for example, it has to come out clearly that it is Parliament doing that. My understanding is that Nation Media Group was stopped by this Parliament, and the point of contestation I have is that the administrators of this Parliament act for and on behalf of all of us, the members of Parliament. And if there is anything that needs to be brought to our attention, it has to come now, because that coverage that the Nation Media Group gives is not only for Parliament, but also infringes on the individual rights of members of Parliament. So if it would please you, so that we are not kept in the dark and have a blanket statement that we are doing investigation. Investigating what? So that the country can know. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to raise an issue which is giving this country a very negative publicity. About a month ago, it is alleged that 2 Kenyan citizens came into this country, one by the name Jagi Bob, and the other one is Oyo Nicholas. And they were reported missing from this country. There are contradictory accounts of how they went missing. On one account, it was alleged that they were apprehended by our security forces. The other account is that they simply just went missing, but they went missing within the territory of Uganda, and these are citizens of Kenya. There is a big uproar in Kenya, given the fact that we even have our own citizens here. Sam Mugumya, for example, who has gone missing for the last, 2-3 months, and no one is coming out to explain. So my question is that a responsible way of running the state or running government, that your own citizens, but also citizens from other countries, come into the country and there is no explanation at all? I would have thought that the government would verify, first of all, to confirm whether those Kenyans actually came into the country, and confirm that they either crossed back or they got into the situation, whichever situation, from within. It is really bothering that so many Ugandans are missing, and it's becoming a norm for the state and government to just say, we don't know, they just got lost. I think particularly this one has to be explained, because it's likely to inflame the relationships between the 2 countries. And I think that the government should take this opportunity to inform the country, not only about those 2 Kenyans, but also the whereabouts of some. It worries that one of us can just simply disappear. How about those ones who are probably not known? There was no one recording what is happening with them. I think it's an issue that bothers me a lot. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
But I must add that the strongest justification for not sending this bill to the Budget Committee is that there is a very serious allegation of grave corruption against the Budget Committee. And the wording of that letter by the President that specifically mentions allegations of corruption, and he's not doing it for the first time. When he came to pay tribute to the late Cecilia, he accused Parliament, in your presence, that the Parliament is corrupt. When we went for State of Nation, he said that. On budget day, he said that. And in the letter, the accusation is against all members of the budget committee. I would feel extremely uncomfortable that this reference is made to the budget committee. I support that the committee of the whole house, and we are here seated, can actually process the matter.
Thank you, thank you. Is that seconded?